Hi everyone, my name is Ruben and I work as a senior consultant with Brightwing Partners. And in the next 20 minutes, I look forward to taking you through the first three main questions that you see on the screen here. And I will start now with what precision fermentation alternative protein is and how it impacts the ingredient industry. Precision fermentation for alternative protein uses microbes as cell factories to create specific ingredients that add functionalities to meat and dairy replacers. Those functionalities can be, for example, flavor or creaminess or others. And these ingredients are typically used in smaller quantities in alternative protein products, and they are produced in steel tanks, such as bioreactors. How do these ingredients impact the ingredients industry? Let's look at three examples for that. The first example being rennet. Before the 1990s, rennet was a molecule that was derived from pig stomachs and used in the production of cheese. The US company DuPont invented the precision fermentation production process of rennet, which significantly reduced the cost to produce this molecule. Within a decade or so, nearly all the rennet used globally was produced using precision fermentation technology, lowering the cost to produce cheese. Looking then at the second example, heme or hemoglobin is the molecule that gives blood its red color and also adds the flavor of meatiness. And around the 2000s, the company Impossible Foods discovered a heme molecule in the roots of the soy plant. They later developed precision fermentation as the core production technology for this molecule. Today, their plant-based meat product has enhanced flavor by using precision fermented heme. The third example is the molecule casein. Animal-based cheeses are really the dominant product on the market today, and plant-based cheese hasn't reached consumer satisfaction yet, given lacking taste, texture, or nutrition. Casein is a molecule that is key in giving cheese its nutrition, taste, but also the stretchiness while it melts. Precision fermented casein can enable a first-of-a-kind cheese alternative. It is yet to be brought to market, but there is significant attention from several producers. And so these three examples illustrate very different approaches that precision fermentation can add to the ingredients industry, ranging from cost reduction to enhancing products, as well as creating new product categories. Today, most precision fermentation companies operate in lab or pilot scale facilities. Lab scale refers to production batches of less than 20 liters, while pilot scale is up to 500 liters. However, there are some demo scale and industrial scale facilities out there, demo scale being up to 50,000 liter production batches, and industrial scale above 50,000, or for some ingredients, even above 500,000 liter steel vessels. All bioreactors require significant investments for this precision fermentation industry, and lab scale requires a couple $million for the construction of a facility, while industrial scale facilities require over $100 million investments. Today, there are already some precision fermented ingredient products on the market, and this is across products such as dairy, meat, and eggs. Perfect Day produces an animal-free whey molecule that is used to produce milk. Motif Foodworks uses heme in their plant-based burgers, and the Everett company produces animal-free egg proteins that are for sale in B2B ingredient distributors and are used to produce French macarons. Most precision fermented ingredient-based products have not achieved the full functionality of their animal counterparts. And at the same time, the products that you see on the screen are significantly more expensive than the animal counterparts that they replace. This still requires significant work from the industry. However, If we look at some long-term cost drivers, we think that the technology has the potential to reach price parity with typical food ingredients. Noteworthy underlying technologies such as gene sequencing and computing cost have decreased exponentially in cost over the past decades. We believe that fundamentally there is no barrier that prevents precision fermentation from reaching price parity with animal-sourced foods. Well, moving on then to why your company should act on this and what you should do. We believe there's three main reasons why your company should enter precision fermentation. And the first one is that there are large and new market opportunities. Let's look at the example of cheese in retail stores in Europe. If cheese would achieve the same market share as plant-based milks in the broader category, this alone creates a 3.5 billion euro opportunity. There are many other markets out there where your ingredients could be used and new markets can be accessed. Secondly, precision fermentation removes vulnerabilities from supply chains. Think, for example, of the recent avian flu that resulted in price hikes for egg whites. Thirdly, precision fermentation reduces the burden on the climate. And Perfect Day's life cycle assessment found that 95% of the greenhouse gas emissions can be reduced by adopting animal-free milk proteins. Now, for your company, one or multiple of these reasons could be a reason to enter into precision fermentation. But it will be key to define the exact challenge that your business wants to solve with precision fermentation. And how you should do that is exactly by starting with that question, to detail the challenge to be solved. Based on that, you can assess the capabilities your company requires and if you need to complement your internal capabilities today. If this is the case, forming a partnership is the easiest and low-cost entry path into this technology. As a third strategic consideration, your company should determine if you can gain a long-term competitive advantage using precision fermentation. If this is the case, either focused joint ventures or acquiring companies and integrating them within your company can be the actions to succeed. And choosing between these two will depend on the required and desired scale of this activity. Let's take a more detailed look into the capabilities you need to succeed in precision fermentation. Ingredient providers will likely require partnerships, as precision fermentation requires many different capabilities. Within R&D, there is a need for microbiology and also bioprocess development expertise. Within manufacturing, there is a need for bioreactor capacity and downstream processing capacity. And within the value chain, both substrates and target storage and transport technology are key. Also, as precision fermentation is a novel food technology, regulatory approval is key, and expertise in this field can benefit the development of these products. One example to this is, for example, Impossible Foods, whose product is for sale in the US, but not yet in Europe because of the use of a precision fermented ingredient that is not approved. End market knowledge is key for the formulation of these food products. And likely, across all of these 5 capabilities, ingredient companies can add some value to the precision fermentation process. But as there are many different capabilities needed, it is also not uncommon to see partnerships among many different partners. Let's take a look at 2 examples of this. The first one being the company New Culture, which was founded in 2018 and produces animal-free casein. They are yet to bring their products to the market, but currently they are working on 2 main challenges: reducing the cost of their production process and obtaining regulatory approval. Over the years, they formed various partnerships to acquire and use different capabilities. For the value chain and manufacturing technology, ADM provides New Culture with ingredient access and manufacturing infrastructure. On the regulation approval side, New Culture has formed a Precision Fermentation Alliance to ease and speed up the regulatory approval process. And regarding markets, New Culture has formed many different partnerships. For example, the Korean company CJ Chiljeon, who has more than 25% market share in the US frozen pizza market and contributes valuable knowledge from that experience. Also recently announced, they partnered with a restaurant, Pizzeria Mozza, for the first product trials that are planned for 2024. As you can see, ingredient corporates can contribute significantly to the development of this technology. Let's look at it from one other perspective. ADM is an agriculture business who are global leaders in human and animal nutrition and known for corn, oils, and soy protein, for example. They have developed precision fermentation capabilities from their activities that relate to this field. For example, microbiology capability from their leading activities in pre, pro, and postbiotics. Also, their production of bioethanol has given them significant fermentation tank capacity. And as they are the leading global supplier of glucose, which is the primary feedstock used in precision fermentation, they're well positioned in this value chain. Over the past 2 years, or multiple years, they've really defined precision fermentation as a focus of the biosolution pillar. And they've established partnerships with various producing companies and R&D platforms, such as Neurasa and ACES Bio. These are just 2 examples of leaders in the precision fermentation field. Which companies can you think of that are leading the precision fermentation work? Please let us know in the comments. Now, with the knowledge from what precision fermentation is, why your company should act, and what you can do, let's look at some of the risks and how you can mitigate those. Within precision fermentation alternative proteins, we see 4 main risks, being strategic, technical, regulatory, and consumer. Strategic risks are primarily 3. The first one being that companies have these capabilities, but they are fragmented internally. Recently, a leading ingredients company approached us, saying that over the years, their company had developed several assets as well as teams across multiple business units that were leading the way with fermentation activities and research. However, they didn't have a clear centralized overview of this activity. The second risk would be to miss out on the fast-moving opportunities in this field, as well as when you act on opportunities, to lack an effective engagement of partners. On the technical side, microbiology is not an easy technology to scale. Microbes suffer under the increased stress and reduced oxygen levels that come with scaling production processes. And there's a risk of not reaching either the required scale or the required price and the cost of production. On the regulatory front, as precision fermentation is a novel food, there is a requirement to obtain approval of the produced products in different geographies where you sell the product. This comes with its own set of risks. And lastly, the consumer has the final say in acceptance of these products. So when products do not reach the required functionalities, or when products suffer from low consumer acceptance, these can pose risks to your production process. Let's look at several mitigation strategies for these risks. First, the strategic risks. We recommend companies to create an overview of the internal capabilities already present for precision fermentation across different business units and functions in the corporate. Make sure there is an effective knowledge sharing process and these capabilities are leveraged for the goal of precision fermented alternative proteins. Secondly, keeping regulatory market assessments and scanning options in the market, for example, quarterly, is a great way to stay on top of what are the new and up-to-date opportunities. And make sure to form a thesis of what business challenges for your company are impacted by precision fermentation. Lastly, be flexible and have a long-term view for this technology. As mentioned earlier, this is not something that will happen overnight, and you will need to manage the right expectations within your company to also invest in this technology at the right moment. And when engaging partners, specifically partners that are younger or have a scale-up business operations, make sure to be flexible and apply a test and learn mindset. Regarding technical risks, in order to make sure production process reaches the right skill and price parity, we recommend to focus on two core areas: the bioprocess and optimizing microbial strains. As this technology traditionally comes from the pharma field, production uses high purity requirements and expensive inputs. And it is key to transition as soon as possible to food-grade processes. In addition, continuous processing or perfusion culture are emerging as key technologies to reduce the cost of production and scale. Optimizing the microbial strains, which are the cell factories that produce precision fermented ingredients, will result in increased yield and titer and increasing efficiency of the production process. Also, if you're able to engineer microbes that can use side streams as substrates, you reduce the dependency on the expensive and highly processed glucose inputs. Lastly, scale is not enough. And while this early technology will benefit from increasing scale to reduce the cost, a recent study from Laurus Bio found that only 35 to 40% of the cost of the production can be reduced by moving to commercial scale batches. And this is not enough to bring precision fermentation ingredients in line with animal products, and therefore you need to pursue multiple avenues to reduce cost. On the regulatory side, different geographies apply different novel food regulation frameworks. And to enter the market quickly, it is key to start in leading geographies such as Singapore and the US. To avoid running into regulatory barriers, it is recommended to use pre-approved microbial strains, and when using genetically modified strains, to remove the DNA from the final product. Lastly, on the consumer side, as consumers will have the final say in the success of this technology, it is key to conduct trials and surveys early. Ideally, conduct customer and consumer trials before moving into pilot scale, as soon as you have a testable ingredient. And consumer surveys recently, for example, Cargill and Perfect Taste survey, indicate initial interest from consumers to try these products. However, it will remain key to keep an eye on the public perception and acceptance of this technology. So summarizing, we've shown you that it's key to partner in precision fermentation as many capabilities are required, and that there are various risks and several mitigation strategies to succeed in this technology. But as partnerships are key, so is doing due diligence on investments and potential partners. And therefore, I'm very happy to announce for you the upcoming 3 speakers of the investor panel.